Obek Kanokre. Susu sang pine, be a want on and be a man in quite baby.
Mommy, you basically see about Kotoso. Pepoga, send me sicker from Lemonade Finance. While Brian did the shade and left me £10.
Lemonade Finance.
Say they're sending money back home from UK, Canada, and now US. I accepted a instant charges. Exchange waiting in so unbeatable. We should me promo code Dr. Like Nenya £10, $10, and $10 Canadian for the first transaction. With the send this download to Lemonade Finance.
Welcome to the Ghana ICT Hub, a partnership between MTN Ghana and the Government of Ghana through the Ministry of Communications and Digitization. MTN pledged to support Ghana's digitization agenda in line with its ambition to lead the delivery of digital solutions for Africa's progress. In fulfillment of this pledge, MTN Ghana has committed $25 million toward the realization of the Ghana ICT Hub project. The objectives of the Ghana ICT Hub project is anchored on the following: to create an ICT-enabled environment for human capital and ICT skills development, to develop an ICT ecosystem through remote access delivery to facilitate job creation for national development, to provide a modern, state-of-the-art physical infrastructure to serve as a pillar for the digital Ghana agenda. The physical infrastructure, when completed, will provide 4,000 square meters of space with the following facilities: laboratories for technology training and research, innovation hub, co-working spaces for tech innovation startups, Tier 3 data center, conferencing facilities, offices and meeting rooms, commercial lettable spaces, gaming area, restaurant, ancillary facilities. The technology laboratories will be fitted with the next generation ICT equipment and applications to provide the youth of Ghana with practical training in Industry 4.0 technologies such as artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, cloud computing, 3D printing, robotics, Internet of Things, IoT, advanced manufacturing techniques, cybersecurity, genetic engineering. The project also seeks to establish a complete ecosystem at the hub through remote access delivery to facilitate job creation for national development. The ecosystem shall comprise of MDAs, technology companies, startups, incubators, research agencies, leading universities globally, foundations worldwide, to create a community. 1. The ecosystem community shall bridge the divide between academia and industry and provide solutions to challenges in the key sectors of health, agriculture, and educational sectors of the economy. 2. It shall also run an innovation program providing mentoring and networking for the youth in tech startups. 3. The ecosystem community shall establish an innovation fund to support startups, research agencies, and other entities in the ecosystem. MTN Ghana and the Ministry of Communications and Digitization are championing the Ghana digital agenda for Ghana's development. Welcome to the digital age.
Live here in Benin. I'm currently at a place called Casa de Papa, which is a very popular place in Benin. So I'm very excited. Even though it's a budget trip, I saved for this place just to experience everything here. So let's take a short tour. Let's see everything they have to offer. So yeah, let's go, guys. Casa de Papa is located outskirts from the main town. The option to get there was renting a minibus or going by motorbike. We opted for a motorbike, which cost us 2,500 CFA.
So this is the lake pond, the lagoon pond, which we are about to see soon. Always alone. You will always be there. Always alone. You will always be there. Always alone.
Good morning here from Casa de Papa. I'm going to have breakfast and yeah, so let's go have some breakfast. So guys, this is what I'm having for breakfast. Abigail is trying a local porridge. How does it taste like?
Like rice. No, like oblayo. Oblayo is made of maize, right?
It's made of maize.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it's smaller.
It's smaller. Yeah, you can see. So this is what I'm having, and yeah, you're all invited. So guys, we are just walking towards the beach after breakfast. Oh, the place is really nice. It's a very huge resort. And
Bahava is that kind of thing.
yeah. And so the resort is close to the sea and it's also close to the river. So they have two. There's a road in between the resort, which you will soon see. So yeah, let's go to the beach. So this is their beach view. Hi, Abby girl.
Hi.
It's time for the poolside and the kayak experience. So let's go, guys. So guys, Abigail is a tour guide, and she also sells bikini. So if you like our bikini and our pants, let her know in the comment section. Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yes. So yeah, we are going to the poolside. We are ready to swim. Oh my goodness. Feels good, right? It feels so good. Have about 30 minutes before we check out. Checkout is at 12. So we are going kayaking. I got a ticket. It comes with accommodation for a night. So we are going kayaking on the lake, which is at the same premises as the Casa de what? Papa. Casa de Papa. So let's go, guys. We are going kayaking. So they have the 2-in-1, they have the 4-in-1, and they have the 1-in-1. So we opted for the 2-in-1 since we both know how to kayak. Yeah, let's see. Let's see, life jacket first. Yeah. Merci. They've made me speak French this trip. has been so much fun. It brings us to almost the end.
Yeah,
this is our last activity before we leave the Casa de Papa. At this point, I just want to rest while Abigail kayaks. Abigail, continue kayaking. So yeah, it's been amazing. This is the view from here. From here. Yeah. We're gonna have coconuts before we leave. Merci.
Thank you.
So guys, this brings us to the end of this vlog. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed documenting the entire place of Casa de Papa. Since I came here with my friend, we are going to share our experience. Abigail, come. Come. So we're going to share our experience. How do you think the place was? How was the place? How was the experience here?
It's beautiful with the trees and nature. I think if you are a nature person, like you really love nature, this place is the best for you. The rooms are not like,
I think we had high expectations.
Yeah.
We paid $100 for a night,
Yeah.
and since we were coming together, we shared and paid. So yeah, it's not really worth the amount. I don't know, maybe because maybe because I think it's expensive, or maybe because I had so many expectations. But aside that, we only had breakfast here, and I think the breakfast was great.
Yeah.
We had not a lot of options, but yeah, we had quite a number of options to choose from.
Breakfast was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're a nature person, this place is the best for you. Okay, just come here and relax. That's okay. But
Yeah.
don't expect too much for the rooms, especially.
Yes, but the place is really beautiful, very Instagram aesthetic, pleasing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can come here for like pictures.
Yeah.
We really had a lot of pictures. If you're not following me on Instagram and you're not following Abigail too on Instagram,
Yes.
please do so. Visit Abigail's channel.
This is Sewa.
Yeah, show her some love. She's also a tour guide in Ghana, and we are also here to also find beautiful places in Benin if you want to add to itinerary. So if you are in Ghana and you want to come to Benin, contact my lady.
Just contact me.
Yeah. So guys, until next time, we want to say bye-bye.
Bye.
Us implore them to work for the common good of protecting and preserving our shared maritime domain. We are excited to see how you shape our organization going forward. It is, however, worrisome to note that the position of Director of Finance still remains vacant, and I wish to urge interested member states to present their nominees to the Executive Secretariat for consideration. Excellencies, the leadership of GGC and our citizens are genuinely concerned about the frequency of crimes at sea, the prevalence of illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing in our waters, the increasing incidence of smuggling, oil theft, pipeline vandalism, trafficking, and maritime terrorism that continue to pose significant threats to the economic lifeline of landlocked and coastal countries of the Gulf of Guinea. Cognizant that this situation is not curbed would make sea transportation riskier, deadly, and expensive for all countries along the Gulf of Guinea. The closed-door session of the summit is therefore designed to enable us to discuss strategies for strengthening peace and security in our fight against maritime-related crimes in the region, as well as to deliberate on the text of the Commission with the hope of expanding the scope of definitions to allow for accession by other countries in the Gulf of Guinea region. Closed-door session We can explore options like the establishment of common laws. For example, a common close fishing season for the territorial zones across the region that would aim in the creation of the resources of the sea for the benefit of citizens of countries of the Gulf of Guinea. With these few words, permit me to welcome you all once again to the third extraordinary summit of the heads of state of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Minister. So I'll now call upon the outgoing Executive Secretary of the Gulf of Guinea Commission to make a statement.
Thank you, Chairman. Your Excellency, the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, and the Chairman of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government here present, Your Excellencies, representatives of Heads of State, of Member States here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to join my voice to that of the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency Shirley Ayoko Botwe, to welcome Your Excellencies and other distinguished participants to this very important third ordinary session of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, being held in this beautiful and historic town of Accra, the capital of Ghana. Our meeting today, as you have heard, is first and foremost for the swearing in of the members of the new Executive Committee of the Executive Secretariat of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. And it is made up of 5 members of designated 5 member states that have been successful in their bid to present candidates for these positions. We have Equatorial Guinea for the Executive Secretary, Nigeria for the Deputy Executive Secretary Political Affairs, Angola for the Deputy Executive Secretary Natural Resources, Ghana Director of Administration, and the Director of Finance is still vacant. We urge all qualified member states to indicate their interest to send a nominee to occupy that position. This nomination is for a period of 3 years, renewable ones. It is important to stress the period of tenure of the new team, as it is fast becoming a way for members' mandate to go beyond the 3-year stipulated in the rules of procedure, as it has been in the last 3 occasions, due mostly to non-hosting of the summit as and when due. Your Excellencies, as the outgoing Executive Secretary, who has also had the privilege and opportunity of serving as the Deputy Executive Secretary, Political Affairs, in the early years of the establishment of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, let me say how privileged and fortunate I have been for such an appointment. I have seen the GGC established in Luanda in 2006 for some specific objectives. I have seen its growth since then. I have seen its challenges it has faced, the modest successes it has recorded, and the glowing picture before it. If these challenges can be confronted with greater political commitment to give to the GGC the means, the attention it deserves, and by so doing, the recognition of other regional organizations and of our continental partners. Article 2 of the treaty, signed in Libreville by our founding fathers of Angola, Gabon, Republic of Congo, Nigeria, and Sao Tome and Principe, on 3rd of July 2001, some 22 years ago, it was established, and its members shall be sovereign states bordering the Gulf of Guinea, who are parties to the treaty. This commission shall constitute a framework of consultation among the countries of the GOG region for cooperation and management, as well as for the prevention, management, and resolution of conflicts, that may arise from the delimitation of borders and the economic and commercial exploitation of natural resources within the territorial boundaries, particularly in the exclusive economic zone. Article 5 of the treaty stipulates the areas of cooperation of the Commission, and it says in Article 3 the objectives of the Commission. High contracting parties undertake to pool their efforts towards the harmonization of their respective policies in the areas of common interests. The GGC pledges to identify areas of common interest in the geographical area of the Gulf and map out common policies, particularly in the areas of peace and security, exploitation of hydrocarbon, fishery resources, and mineral resources, the environment, movement of peoples and goods, development of communication, promotion of the economic development, and integration of the Gulf of Guinea region. This article also encourages member states to strive to develop activities that they consider necessary to promote the objectives of the Commission. There were 9 objectives. I'll just mention a few. To strengthen ties of cooperation among member states, create conditions of mutual confidence, peace and security conducive to the harmonious development of states, promote close consultations in the exploitation of natural resources, harmonize the respective policies of states regarding matters of common interest, protect, preserve, and improve the natural environment of the Gulf of Guinea, cooperate in the event of natural disasters, formulate a concerted immigration policy, and find appropriate solutions to the problems which might arise therefrom. With the accession of Equatorial Guinea in 2006, DRC and Cameroon in 2009, and Ghana in 2017, the membership of this commission rose to 9 out of the 12 states with the coastal frontiers in the Gulf of Guinea region. Efforts have been made in the past to encourage Benin, Togo, and Cote d'Ivoire to join the Gulf of Guinea Commission. These countries have participated in the GGC's meetings and the different seminars that have been organized on the different relevant topics, but they have not fully committed themselves politically to be members of the GGC. With the laudable initiatives of the current chairman to include expansion of the GGC as part of the agenda of this meeting, these 3 countries that have participated regularly in our activities will be encouraged to commit themselves to being member states of the GGC. On the expansion to all other states with maritime frontiers in West and Central Africa, it is our sincere hope that the active dynamism and encouragement of the chairman and the increased participation of countries like Senegal, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, in the regional maritime activities, programs, and projects being promoted and encouraged by the African Union, projects such as the Combined Maritime Task Force for the Gulf of Guinea region, the AU Amani 3 Maritime Regional Exercise, these countries will be persuaded to be full members of the GGC. For this to happen, however, Article 2 of the treaty will have to be amended to include all littoral states in West and Central Africa. Having extensively exposed the objectives, the area of cooperation, and membership of the GGC, with your kind permission, Your Excellencies, let me indicate the modest successes the GGC has achieved in its 16 years of its operation. GGC has been at the forefront of advocacy through organizing different seminars and conferences on different maritime security and safety issues to urge member states to take full responsibility for maintaining security and safety in the maritime domain. Whether countries with maritime frontiers on the Atlantic Ocean are members of the GGC or not, they have become more aware of the dangers of neglecting their maritime domain, hence the need to secure them. Sea blindness, a navy balance, has been greatly reduced among our member states. Many of our member states are paying more attention to activities in the maritime domain and providing their navies, coast guards, and other relevant maritime security agencies with what is required for them to be more effective in the maintenance of sea and security and safety at sea. Advocacy for legislation to be passed by states of the region to arrest and prosecute offenders. We've had some successes. The Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act of May 29 passed by Nigeria. We also have successful prosecution of criminals arrested at sea, a deterrent to those who previously could not be prosecuted because of no legislation with which such maritime offenses could be tried in many states of the region. A greater and more effective collaboration with the REX, ECAS, and ECOWAS, which led to the signing of an MOU amongst the three sub-regional organizations for the establishment of the Interregional Coordination Center, ICC, in Yaoundé, Cameroon, in September 2014. For inter alia, greater information sharing on maritime crime for purposes of deterrent activities by the MMCCs, the Multinational Maritime Coordination Centers, and the regional centers, amongst other functions of the ICC. The signing of the MOU with MOCA with a view to increasing discussion on maritime transportation in the region. GGC equally signed an MOU with the African Union as an AU mechanism, which has raised the status of the GGC to a level that the AU can now partner with the GGC on some of its sub-regional programs on maritime security and safety and sustainable development issues that involve West and Central Africa, such as the establishment of the Combined Maritime Task Force for the Gulf of Guinea region, the Amani 3 Africa Maritime Exercise of the AU to take place later this year. Active participation of the GGC in meetings of the international communities, partners in their programs and activities connected with the Gulf of Guinea region. The G7++ Friends of the Gulf of Guinea readily comes to mind. Active implementation of the revitalization of the GGC by implementing the activities approved in the 2023-2024 program of its activities. Greater collaboration amongst the navies and coast guards of the region for purposes of hot pursuit of criminals and their arrest and prosecution. Meeting of heads of navies of Africa, joint maritime exercises are part of this collaboration. Refocusing of attention on issues of IU fishing and environmental degradation in the region with the objective of reducing it and encouraging higher standards of exploitation of hydrocarbon to reduce environmental damage and pollution. Collaboration with the Ghana Maritime Institute on raising a greater awareness on the IUU fishing, and this should be reduced. Advocacy of governments of the region to pay attention and provide for the basic needs of their coastal populations, to discourage them from joining criminal gangs of pirates, sea robbers, oil thieves, kidnappers, illegal immigration perpetrators, amongst other criminal acts at sea. The GGC has equally tried to maintain a decent independence of its basic functioning to avoid a subtle and seemingly unnoticed modification of its objectives to serve other purposes from the objectives of its establishment as enshrined in its treaty. In spite of these modest achievements, Your Excellencies, the challenges are enormous and sometimes overwhelming. We have a lack of timely response to issues of concern raised by the GGC that warrants timely response. Nominations to different committees. The meeting of the Specialized Committee on Finance and Administration could not hold as scheduled early this year because of few responses from member states. We did not form a quorum. Lack of participation at statutory meetings and other meetings of the GGC at appropriate levels. Lack of payment of contribution as and when due, which leads to non-organization of proposed meetings or seminars as previously scheduled. Also, lack of payment of contributions will lead to delays in payment of salaries and organizing the activities planned to be carried out in the course of the year. Lack of funds to recruit more professionals required to fill the minimum staff level approved for the Commission since 2010. Lack of adequate headquarters buildings to give visibility to the GGC in the host country. This matter has been taken up on several occasions with the host authorities, and the promise is always it is being looked into, it shall be addressed. The GGC has moved 3 times since its establishment, and facilities already installed or damaged in the course of movement and change of address. No repairs of 3 out of the 5 residencies provided by the executive members, despite the promise made since 2013 that the refurbishment of the houses will take only 3 months. It is now 10 years, and 3 of those residencies are not yet repaired. The GGC does not have the money to undertake such extensive repairs. Irregular difficulties with payment of salaries in foreign currencies, especially to Angolan members of staff, in spite of the headquarters agreement. This equally has been taken up with the authorities. Your distinguished participants, I wish to express my immense gratitude to those member states that have constantly supported the GGC by their active engagement at the highest political level with the GGC. They attend our meetings regularly, they pay their contributions, they advocate for us in international organizations. For those not so involved, I wish to urge them to please be more involved, as the more we are, the more effective will be the necessary political, professional, and material support to ensure the success of the GGC's activities. Collaboration is the key to an effective safety and security policy implementation in the Gulf of Guinea region. I wish to thank all my colleagues in the Secretariat for their cooperation. Each one of them has taken up the job performed by at least 3 other professionals in other sub-regional organizations, and we have worked together as a team for the success of the GGC. To the other members of staff, I thank them for their cooperation and their ability to carry out their assignment in sometimes quite difficult conditions. They have, by their dedication, made the task easier for me and have contributed to the progress of organization. It is not easy, but we have weathered the storm together. To the highest authorities of those member states that have constantly supported us, on behalf of all my colleagues in the Executive Committee and members of staff, I say thank you, Your Excellencies. To the President of my country, President Muhammadu Buhari, who supported my nomination to the high office of the Executive Secretary, I thank you, Your Excellency, for the confidence you reposed in me, that I could do the job. Also, my gratitude to the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs Minister of State for Foreign Affairs of Nigeria, who have always been actively involved in the affairs of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. To all those presidents that have received us anytime we requested for an audience, I thank them from the bottom of my heart, and I pray that those who did not give us such access to reconsider their stand and create time to receive the Executive Secretary of the GGC. It is encouraging to us, and it is good for the image of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. I would like to congratulate Mr. Jose Mbaya Beso, my former colleague, on his appointment to the position of the Executive Secretary. I wish to assure him and his team of my availability to assist in any possible way to push the affairs of the GGs forward, and I wish them success in carrying out their task. I hope and pray that they improve on our modest achievements. Our special thanks goes to our host, President and Chairman of the GGC, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, for the excellent facilities put at our disposal to ensure the successful hosting of the 3rd extraordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. I would also like to thank him personally for the access he has graciously and generously granted to the GGC, even before he became the chairman of the GGC. Anytime the Secretary was asked to consult member states at the highest level, Ghana has always granted us audience without too much ado of waiting without repeating requests over a long period. I have no doubt in my mind that with your chairman, Your Excellency, with your chairmanship, Your Excellency, of the GGC, and your advocacy for greater commitment from your colleagues, GGC will move to greater heights. May the GGC grow into the impactful regional organization which it was established to be. I thank you, Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Outgoing Executive Secretary. It's now time to swear in the members of the new Executive Committee, who are the Executive Secretary is Mr. Joseph Mba Abeso, who's from the Equatorial Guinea. The Deputy Executive Secretary for Political Affairs is from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who's Mr. Obina Chukwumeka Agbugba. And then the Deputy Executive Secretary for Natural Resources and Environment from Angola, Mr. Venancio Suarez Gomez. And then finally, the Director of Administration from Ghana, Mr. Emmanuel Budu Ado. So, gentlemen, you will stand up. You have the oath with you. The oath that was distributed. We can do it all together. We can all together. The oath that I have is for officials of the commission. That's what I have. Yeah. So, all together. You say after me. I hereby solemnly swear loyally, with discretion and in all conscience, to discharge the duties which have been assigned to me as an official of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, and to discharge such duties and order my conduct, having exclusively in mind the interests of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, neither seeking nor accepting instructions from any government or authority outside the Gulf of Guinea Commission, as shall regard the discharge of said duties. Congratulations. The floor is yours.
Their Excellency, Head of State, and the government of the country of Guinea Commission. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude and satisfaction for having accepted me in such a great organization to be its executive secretary. His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, Chairman of the Gulf of Guinea Commission and current President of Ghana, distinguished representative of head state and government, Excellency Madam Sally Ayoko Bochwe, Acting Minister, President of the Council of Ministers of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Honorable mention to His Excellency Obianjima Mbazo, Head of State and the Government of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, for having chosen me among so many brilliant Equatorial Guineans to be a candidate for the position of Executive Secretary of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. I am not going to let you down. I thank the overhead of state for accepting me. I would like to thank our standing Executive Secretary, Madam Florentina Adene-Kokonga, and his staff of Gulf of Guinea Commission for maintaining and working for so many years in very difficult situations. Let me express my profound appreciation to Your Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, Chairman of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, and the government of Ghana for convening the third extraordinary session of the Assembly of the Head State and the government of the Gulf of Guinea Commission in the beautiful city of Accra, and for placing at our disposal excellent facility to guide our intervention today. I want the member state to support the institution by paying their contribution. I solemnly promise to work hard for the success of the community. In this order of ideas, I am willing to accept the advice of that emanate from the member state. Thank you all very much.
So thank you very much indeed, Mr. Secretary. Excellencies, heads of state and government, representatives of member states, Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, the Executive Secretary and members of the Executive Committee of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to welcome Your Excellencies to the third extraordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. Akwaba, as you know, is our word of welcome. This is the first in-person summit of the Commission since 2019. After the onset of COVID-19, our meetings have been restricted mostly to virtual ones. This lack of in-person meetings, the real and rare opportunities for frank and more meaningful exchange of views towards finding solutions to the many problems of our continent, especially our Gulf region, have robbed all of us of contributing the opportunity to contribute collectively to the vibrant and aggressive development of our region, the Gulf of Guinea. The first formal purpose of the meeting which is the swearing in of the new Executive Committee members. As decided during our last virtual meeting, the 5th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government hosted by the Federal Republic of Nigeria has been carried out. You'll recall that it was at that meeting that Ghana was chosen to chair the commission in succession to Nigeria, whose mandate had come to an end. The other positions that were designated at that meeting are the Executive Secretary from Equatorial Guinea, the Deputy Executive Secretary for Political Affairs from Nigeria, the Deputy Executive Secretary for Natural Resources from Angola, and the Director of Administration from Ghana. It is important to note, as the Minister for Foreign Affairs has already indicated, as well as the outgoing Executive Secretary, that the position of Director of Finance is yet to be taken by a member state. And as such, there's been no swearing in for the Director of Finance. We know the importance of this position, and so I appeal to members to fulfill their obligations to the Gulf of Guinea Commission, which will enable them to put up a candidate for this position. It is imperative that this position be filled as soon as possible, in accordance with Article 21(1)(c) of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. The installation of the new Executive Committee members that will steer the affairs of the organization for the next 3 years, possibly for a second 3-year tenure, is an important event for the Commission. It is also my hope that the renewal of members of the committee will be carried out in a more regular manner, as envisaged in our rules of procedure. I have no doubts over the competence and capacity of the newly sworn members of the Executive Committee, looking at their biodata. I believe the effective and efficient management of the Executive Secretariat of the Gulf of Guinea Commission will be well taken care of by the new committee members, and I'd like to encourage them to perform and give of their best in the interest of the Commission. I must perforce congratulate the outgoing members of the Executive Committee and the staff of the Executive Secretariat, led by Her Excellency, the indefatigable Mrs. Florentina Adenike Okunga, for their efforts in ensuring the continuity and growth of the Commission, even in the face of the financial difficulty caused by the non-payment and irregular payment of contributions by some member states, and also due to irregular holding of statutory meetings as enshrined in the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. In spite of these challenges, the team has kept the Gulf of Guinea Commission relevant in matters of maritime security and safety in the region. I wish the outgoing Executive Secretary and her team well, and sincerely hope that they will not hesitate to respond to our requests for their knowledge and expertise in relevant matters if the need arises. And I'm glad to hear the reassurance of the outgoing Executive Secretary in this regard. Excellencies, I've taken advantage of this extraordinary meeting to bring up for discussion 2 issues that are of great importance to our region. Firstly, the issue of finding means of making our region a safe, secure, and prosperous one. And secondly, the deliberation on whether it is in our collective interest to enlarge the Gulf of Guinea Commission so that we will have, as member states, all the coastal states of West and Central Africa, from Cape Verde to Angola, instead of coastal states of the geographical Gulf of Guinea region, from Cote d'Ivoire to Angola, as is currently set out in the 2001 treaty establishing the Gulf of Guinea Commission. There will then be the need to amend this treaty to reflect this new development if it is so accepted. These are the items for our agenda for the closed-door session. It is important that we have some serious discussion on these items in order to come up with strategies geared towards strengthening peace and security and winning the fight against maritime-related crimes in the region, such as piracy, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, arms trafficking, pollution of the environment, smuggling, fuel and crude oil theft. We shall continue to work to address these maritime security issues to help curtail and eradicate the menace caused by these acts of criminality in the region, so as to build a safe, secure, and prosperous Gulf of Guinea region for sustainable development for our peoples. I beseech member states of the Gulf of Guinea Commission to show more political commitment at the highest level of government in the affairs of the Commission by paying the statutory contributions to the Commission and attending the statutory meetings at the highest and most appropriate levels. Also on the agenda is the proposal for the possible expansion of the membership of the Commission to include all the 19 coastal states of the geopolitical Gulf of Guinea for effective collaboration of our navies, coast guards, and other relevant maritime security agencies in the geopolitical space of the Gulf of Guinea. It is important to note that for the expansion to become effective, the Treaty of the Commission will have to be amended to allow the inclusion of all the coastal states in the region from Cape Verde to Angola. Since the establishment of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, when 5 countries, Angola, the Republic of Congo, Gabon, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Sao Tome and Principe, signed the treaty in Libreville, Gabon on 3rd July 2001, the Commission has witnessed the accession of 4 other member states: Equatorial Guinea in 2006, Democratic Republic of Congo and Cameroon in 2009, and Ghana in 2017. Other countries in the region have shown interest in the past by attending Gulf of Guinea Commission meetings and seminars, and have made inquiries regarding membership, but have not followed through on the show of interest. To join the Commission so that collectively we can make a significant difference in maintaining maritime peace and security in the Gulf of Guinea region. Through well-coordinated collaboration and cooperation on matters of common interest amongst the members of the region, illegal activities at sea can be greatly reduced, if not completely eradicated. Collaboration and cooperation amongst the states of the region are crucial because of the interconnectivity of maritime activities. Working together will enable us to build a safe, secure, and prosperous Gulf of Ghana region for sustainable development. Excellencies, representatives, I thank you for your attention.
Members of the media, it is now time to exit the room. Summit will enter into a closed-door session. Protocol, please assist in doing this.
Mommy, you face can see my cotoso. The bugger send me sick from Lemonade Finance. While Brian did the shit and let me £2.
Lemonade Finance.
Say they're sending money back home from UK, Canada, and now US. I accepted a instant charges. Extinguishing so unbeatable. We should make promo code Dr. Like menya £10, $10 and $10 for the first transaction. What is send this guy akofino? Download to
Ladies and gentlemen, the National Democratic Congress has cited an undercover investigative work that was recently broadcast by international news network Al Jazeera. The said documentary forms part of a 4-part investigation by Al Jazeera's investigative unit, I-Unit, which uncovered an international gold smuggling mafia and money laundering rackets operating in various parts of Africa. Friends from the media, of particular concern to us, and indeed the people of Ghana, is a reference to a relationship between the deadly rackets and the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and other high-profile African leaders. In the particular portion of this new investigative documentary that has got many thanks wagon, the said Alistair Matthias is described as a Canadian citizen and a financial architect operating a gold smuggling syndicate in Ghana called Gold Trust. This Alistair Matthias confided in Al Jazeera undercover reporters who posed as Chinese businessmen about his constant dealings with our President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We in the National Democratic Congress are deeply concerned about the damning revelations about our President in the latest documentary by Al Jazeera. The continuous naming of the President and his vice in all manner of bribe-taking syndicates must be a cause for concern for every patriotic Ghanaian who cares about the image of the presidency. Never in the history of this country, and I repeat, never in the history of this country has the presidency been so depraved and reduced to a criminal mafia as we are witnessing today. As has become standard practice under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government, the presidency has kept a deafening silence on this matter in the wake of the damning revelations contained in the Al Jazeera documentary. Given the record and penchant of this government to cover up grafts, Ghanaians cannot and must not accept silence or the usual flippant denials emanating from the corridors of power. It is against this backdrop that the NDC hereby wishes to call on the special prosecutor to take keen interest in this matter and launch a full-scale investigation into this matter with the aim of prosecuting anyone found culpable. Additionally, given the considerable public interest in this matter and what it portends for Ghana's image among the global community of nations, we wish to call on Parliament, the representatives of the people, to set up a publicly televised and bipartisan probe into this matter in order to ascertain the truth. We in the NDC hold the view that the parliamentary probe into this matter is imperative to establish, number one, the number of companies owned by this shady character, Matthias Alistair, in Ghana. Number two, which government contracts have been awarded to companies owned by Alistair Matthias since their inception in the country. And number three, an investigation into this matter is imperative to establish the propriety or otherwise of the activities of companies owned by the said Alistair Matthias, among others. We invite President Akufo-Addo his handlers, and the people at the corridors of power to wholeheartedly embrace our call for a bipartisan probe into this serious issue. If indeed they so believe nothing untoward has been occasioned in the state and that they have nothing to hide. It is our well-considered view that the explosive revelations contained in Al Jazeera's Gold Mafia investigative piece explain why the president's supposed fight against Galamsey has been a spectacular failure. It explains why Ghana has become the epicenter of gold smuggling in Africa. Galamsey was obviously bound to flourish under the corrupt Akufo-Addo Bawumia regime because it was the central source for illegal gold purchases used in this complex money laundering scheme, which has been uncovered by Al Jazeera. And understand Al Jazeera is in this auditorium today. We thank them very much for uncovering this scam. Which scheme is being perpetrated against the state by powerful political dark forces in high places. As we in the NDC have always maintained, President Akufo-Addo's proclaimed fight against Galamsey was the biggest scam ever to be perpetrated on Ghanaians. Today, the NDC stands vindicated as a report authored by the German-trained cardiothoracic surgeon and former Minister of Environment and Science, Professor Frimpong Boateng, has all but confirmed our long-held opinion that there has never been any genuine commitment or any attempts to fight Galamsey by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government. The said report by the German-trained cardiothoracic surgeon shows clearly that the so-called fight against Galamsey was a charade calculated to enable top government and MPP functionaries to appropriate and take over the illicit Galamsey trade. As the former Environment and Science Minister, Professor Frimpong Boateng, puts it in his report, never in the history of Ghana have the nation's forest reserves and water bodies been subjected to such obscene rape and wanton destruction in the name of Galamsey as we have witnessed under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Fellow countrymen and women, the former Environment Minister and Chairman of the defunct Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining has provided further and better particulars of persons both high and low who are neck deep in this nation-wrecking business of Galamsey. The report specifically names appointees at the Jubilee House, such as the Director of Operations at the Presidency, Lord Comey. Can we see his picture on the screen? For those who don't know Lord Comey, that is Lord Comey. Charles Ni Tego. Can we see his picture as well? That is him on the screen. We want you to know the Galamsey kingpins in Ghana according to Professor Frimpong Boateng. This is not the gospel according to the NDC. It is not the gospel according to Sami Jenfi or Joseph Yami. It is the gospel according to Professor Frimpong Boateng. The faces of Galamsey kingpins according to Frimpong Boateng. And so the report names Lord Comey, Director of Operations at the Presidency, Charles Ni Tego, Presidential Staffer, and Frank Asiedu Bekwin, aka Protozwa, Special Aide to the Chief of Staff, who have been actively supporting and promoting illegal mining. we in the NDC have always known that the political economy of Galamsey in this Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government is made up of the high and the mighty in places of power and influence, who will stop at nothing to sabotage any effort at fighting the canker because of what they benefit from it. If there was any doubt that the so-called fight against illegal mining by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government has been a sham, then this is the clearest evidence yet again. The Frimpong Boateng report confirms one truth, that illegal mining activities have been a free-for-all enterprise for many in the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP administration. From ministers, presidential staffers, and other associates in government, to national, regional, constituency, and unit committee executives of the New Patriotic Party, their agents, personal assistants, relatives, and financiers. Many are neck deep and are either engaged in or promoting illegal mining with reckless abandon. It is sad to know that Ghana today has a commander-in-chief who sends soldiers into harm's way for parochial gain. Major Mohammed's death and the misuse of Ghanaian soldiers by this Galamsey government is another reason for a public inquiry into the Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report. The Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report has indeed shocked the conscience of the nation, and no amount of half-witted and half-hearted explanations from the presidency or government can whitewash this great infamy. President Akufo-Addo's complicity in this whole scandal has been further magnified by the fact that this stinking report has been on his desk since 2021, 2 years ago. Can you believe it? Yet he has woefully failed to act on sin. We are of the view that the only way to establish the truth and get to the bottom of the issues contained in the Professor Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report is for Parliament to institute a publicly televised and bipartisan inquiry into this report, which essentially is an obituary of President Akufo-Addo's monumentally failed fight against illegal mining. The special prosecutor on his part must act with alacrity by probing the Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report and prosecute all government officials, MPP functionaries, and persons who have perpetrated serious crimes against the state as contained in the report. The Ghanaian people deserve this probe because millions of taxpayers' money has gone down the drain in the name of fighting illegal mining. Now that it has been confirmed that all the so-called fights, Operation Vanguard, Galam Stop, we are buying drones to fight Galamsey, I am putting my presidency on the line. Now that we have confirmed that everything was a charade, our nation stands united, crying for justice. Anything short of a bipartisan inquiry into this matter would be fiercely resisted. Because people who, for their own greed and selfishness, destroy water bodies, knowing very well that water is life. People who, for their own selfishness and greed, destroy our vegetation, knowing that when the last tree dies, the last man dies, are murderers who must not be shielded. Any country that has no firm grip over the protection of its forests, nature reserves, wetlands, and biodiversity is one that is doomed to extinction. It is sad to say that Ghana is fast approaching this scary reality under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP administration, who are busy destroying all our vegetative buffers and water bodies to satisfy their greed and selfishness. As a further step to back our demands, the NDC shall formally, in the coming days, submit a request to both the Clerk of Parliament and the Office of the Special Prosecutor to initiate the necessary investigations into the gold mafia documentary as it relates to Ghana and the Galamsey report of Professor Frimpong Boateng.
That the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is housed here in Ghana, is a very big opportunity for the continent. And we are very desirous that this instrument, which can allow this continent to grow and develop according to the Agenda 2063 of the AU, which is to industrialize and develop the continent in the future and create jobs for young people. We are happy to, as the WTO, to be able to say that with that agreement being implemented, we feel there are many opportunities for the continent to really create more manufacturing industries and capacity. In order for us to trade more, we have to add value to our products. And if we have a big market of 1.4 billion now, 1.7 billion in 2030, that gives us the space, the market power, to really try to develop our industries and sell our manufacturers through this agreement of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, at the level of the WTO, we see opportunities that can help make this real. As we speak, there is a very big move globally to diversify supply chains for many products. We saw that during the pandemic, there were some vulnerabilities that were obvious in the way that manufacturing is concentrated in the world for several products. You've got semiconductors. This is something very important to many of the big countries like the EU, the US, and so on. But we've also got things like pharmaceuticals. I referred to it before. 10 countries in the world export 80% of the world's COVID-19 vaccines, for instance. 10 countries. And if you look, pharmaceuticals are very concentrated, the manufacture of that. So this is one supply chain, just an example of one, that we could think about how do we take advantage of this desire to build resilience in world trade and in supply chains. How do we take advantage on the continent to build here? And why not Ghana? Why can't Ghana be part of that? As I said, His Excellency started with manufacture of COVID-19 vaccines, and hopefully we can also spread that to other types of pharmaceuticals. We can look at other types of supply chains that we have, from building on some of the resources we have here, textiles and garments. I know that a lot of garments are imported into the country, but we grow cotton. We can add value to it. We can manufacture our own garments. We can sell within here, and then we don't need to be importing those kinds of things, whether they are first-hand or second-hand, into the continent and into the country. I could go on and on, but there are many value chains. What I want us to do is think on the continent and here in Ghana, how can we develop the things we have and add value? We were also able at this ministerial to have an agreement to introduce more flexibilities, a waiver on the patent on vaccines so that African countries and other countries can manufacture their own vaccines. It is not proper that we import 99% of the vaccines we use on the continent and 90% of our other pharmaceuticals. So the WTO holds the agreement worldwide on intellectual property. So for vaccines, we're able to waive that so that we can manufacture for a period of 5 years. I know that His Excellency, Mr. President, has worked really hard to start vaccine manufacturing in Ghana. So one of the things that I hope we can talk about is the efforts for that, because now you have a bit of an open space for the next 5 years to produce vaccines without being afraid that someone is going to sue you for the patent right. So that is a very important thing that we got, and we're trying to extend it to therapeutics and diagnostics. The agreement we had about vaccines, it's about COVID-19 vaccines. I want to be very clear. COVID-19 is to waive the ability of countries to manufacture COVID-19 vaccines for the next 5 years. But hopefully some of those technologies that are used to manufacture COVID-19 vaccines will also allow us to look at other ways in which we can expand the ability of the continent to have a pharmaceutical industry, working with the manufacturers in terms of transfer of technology and so on. At the WTO, many agreements have been stuck for a number of years because it's a consensus organization. Every member must agree on everything before it can be moved forward. Can you imagine how difficult that is? So as a result of that, things have been a bit stuck, but we were able last June to move things so we can conclude some agreements. And one of them was on fisheries. This agreement is to do away with $22 billion in harmful fisheries subsidies that allow countries to fish illegally in the oceans, to overfish the ocean's fish stocks, on which many people depend. 12 million people in Africa depend on fisheries. So this agreement will now make it possible if someone is doing illegal, IUU, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. If they're doing IUU fishing, they can be brought to the WTO and reported for doing that. So this agreement is very important. You have many artisanal fishermen and women in Ghana. Ghana has an important population along its coast that lives on fisheries. But very often there's illegal fishing in your waters. So ratifying this agreement is going to help be able to control that kind of illegal fishing and overexploitation of your waters. One of the things I've come to ask Your Excellency is to please, Ghana should ratify this agreement as quickly as possible. If you ratify it, there's also a fund called the Fisheries Fund. We're raising $20 million and already about 7 has been pledged to help developing countries strengthen their management capacity to manage their fisheries. Many of our countries need strengthening. I'm sure our colleague from fisheries can say something about that. So how do we strengthen the capacity to even know statistically what kind of fisheries we have, to be able to have the appropriate data, to be able to even pursue those who are fishing illegally so we can report them? What are all these mechanisms? This fund will help you strengthen the capacity so you can implement the agreement. So that is one of the agenda that I came here to ask you, Your Excellency and Mr. President, to please help us ratify the agreement.
A multitude of our Muslim brothers and sisters are at the Independence Square today to commemorate the Eid al-Fitr celebrations. Now we are here to find out how the prayer session is going so far and how their day is also going to go at the end of everything. Join me as I find out from my brothers and sisters.
I live in Independence, well, I would like to visit as a young boy, I would like to visit my Muslim brothers and sisters who are also, even a non-Muslim, I would like to visit them and wish them a happy Eid or happy Ramadan. With all due respect to my religion, I have to fast because they are stated in the holy book, in the Quran, that Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu, all you who believe, kutiba alaykum siyam, that you have to fast. Fasting has been prescribed upon you. Kama kutiba alal lazina, how it has been prescribed upon alal lazina min qablikum, how it has been prescribed upon all those who have passed before you. Kutiba alaykum kama kutiba min qabl la'allakum tattaqun. Why? Because Allah is saying that. Why should we fast? We fast because it has been prescribed upon all those who have passed before we, so that what? So that you can have comfort, you can have what? Mercy. You will be merciful. The holy month of Ramadan is a holy month which has been in which the Quran has been revealed, and all Muslims know that. And it's a holy month which has been devoted for fasting. The whole either 29 or 30 days. You know, the Islamic calendar contains either 29 or 30 days. Yes, that's why we used to fast in the Ramadan.
And happy Eid al-Fitr. May Allah reach us new more years. Me myself, I prefer to pray here.
Why?
And it's, since we were kids, we've been praying here, so I'm used to coming here to pray. The holy month of Ramadan is a peace month and a blessed month. Forgiveness to all our sins.
You know, the whole of Islam is built on 5 pillars. At the center of that structure is to believe that there is no any other God but Allah. And the Prophet Muhammad is final messenger. Final messenger, not founder of Islam. He is the final messenger, beginning from Adam, the first man created, to Abraham, to Moses, to Jesus, to Muhammad. These are the 5 key prophets. In between them, there are over 124,000. Beginning with Adam, who was the first creation of Allah and the first prophet of Allah. So it's built on 5 pillars. Apart from the belief that there is no any other God but Allah and Rasul Muhammad is final messenger, we have the fasting, we have the zakat, we have the prayer, we have the hajj as the 4 other pillars, all linking to the main pillar in the middle. That's belief that there's no any other God. You see, so the fasting is to build, apart from the spiritual benefit to you yourself, is to build in you, the human being, empathy and compassion for others.
Ramadan means that a fasting time. Fasting. And Ramadan time, grandpa, who be yaka. Utimima wouldn't a boom. And yes, Ramadan no quantity, and yet, grandpa said, one or to say, one only a mobile yaka. Any quaint, say, I didn't reach us, any quaint, say, one will be by yaka, grandpa, my dear Chisu, and yet. And a dear woman to say, I say, and dray, wait, I say, as if from our bedroom. And I'm a bedroom, I say, no, I say, mean Becca, La Mam, Yanina, Penny, Muslim, Penny, no, nay, and soon yammy. Mean quambet me as soon, but me soon mean quamininji, just a Yanina, young Cambo, and soon yamini, and ninji, and one. I know how crazy. Me free Westland, and I'm about to send our best celebrity and the after. And there, minim cry, just a middle fear. Minim Miss Cadia may yell fear now. If you are now offensive, Marina, menum drinks. Minim dia meka pizza crame quarantana quaranta pizza. Nama emukrampo afunmi nutuonu ntemi dibia ni fufuro bia.
She said that Ramadan is all about fasting, love amongst one another, and then reconciliation among enemies. She's also saying that she came to the Independence Square because she wanted to celebrate the Eid al-Fitr with the Imam of the religion.
It's a blessing day, blessing month, and happy to, we are all happy. You see us around here. Today is like special day for us because we finished the Ramadan. So we're supposed to come here and pray to Almighty God, forgiveness, health, everything that we need from Him.
Some of our Muslim brothers and sisters believe that Ramadan is all about fasting. It's the holy month that propels you to love, reconcile, and celebrate with one another. What interests me the most is the fact that even though their religion requires them to fast, they do enjoy doing it. Now, what does Ramadan mean to you too? Let me know in the comment section. My name is Abigail Johnson Bush, reporting for GhanaWeb.
Our transformational mobile money interoperability has also provided financial inclusion to both the millionaire business executive in the cities and the petty trader in the small market in the village, who may never have bothered to open a bank account. Both of them can now make financial transactions seamlessly from a bank account to a Momo wallet and vice versa. Because of this policy of Ghana's of mobile money interoperability, Ghana is now the #1 country in Africa as far as access to financial inclusion is concerned.
Welcome to Media Kotoku, to what promises to be a milestone of well-being for ourselves and for posterity as we break ground for the DEK Vaccines Limited, a multiple vaccine manufacturing factory right here in Ghana, as we provide hope for a healthier Africa and prepare her against any unforeseen pandemics.
Your Excellency, we are here today due to the impact of your vision and initiative to set up the Presidential Vaccines Manufacturing Committee, especially Prof. Kwabra Frimpong Boateng and Dr. Nsiasare, who have worked so hard to assemble technical expertise to help bring vaccine manufacturing to Ghana. Today, DEK Vaccines is here to make your Excellency's vision a reality.
Ladies and gentlemen, it all started on 28th February 2021 in update 24 of what has come to be known as the Fellow Ghanaian series of addresses to the nation at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when I declared to the Ghanaian people my determination to see to the manufacture of vaccines here in Ghana. The vaccine nationalism that was played out by the developed world with the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines meant that we had to take urgent, critical steps towards making sure that never again would we be victims or pawns of the international vaccine order. It was imperative that we took our destiny into our own hands. However, as has become the norm, right from my days in opposition to my becoming President of the Republic, any idea proposed, whether it is free senior high school education or one district, one factory policy, is scoffed at by those who claim they are lofty ideas which could not be implemented. The idea to manufacture our own vaccines was not spared either. In spite of these, I went ahead to establish a committee under the chairmanship of the former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabra Frimpong Boateng, to formulate a concrete plan of action towards domestic vaccine development and manufacturing. The plan of action culminated in the announcement of the establishment in July 2021 of the National Vaccine Institute with seed funding of 25 million United States dollars from the European Investment Bank. Indeed, some 2 months ago, on 14 February 2023, the National Vaccine Institute Bill was enacted by Parliament, for which I have given assent, and whose board of directors will soon be outdoor. Its establishment has enabled the National Vaccine Institute work in unison with ministries, departments, and agencies in Ghana to boost our country's capacity to be self-reliant in the production of vaccines and bring all of us to this gathering where work on the construction of the factory of DEKS Vaccines Limited will soon begin. We want to achieve self-sufficiency in vaccine production to meet future national, regional, and continental needs for health security. We shall not then in the future be at the mercy of foreign vaccine nationalism and geopolitics.
Thank Mr. President in particular and his government in general for delivering on his promise to give us this facility. And I want to say, Mr. President, again, Mr. President, for the last time, Mr. President, we thank you very much. Why do I have to mention Mr. President's name thrice? Because what we are seeing is the first of its kind in my own life history. And for that, we are eternally grateful to you, Mr. President, and your government. And I hope generations that will come after us will come and also extend their great gratitude to you, even when we are long gone.
We are gathered here this morning because of the vision of the President to give a facelift to our urban cities through his government's policy of urban redevelopment schemes. Historically, large tracts of lands have been allocated to state agencies for projects, of which very small portions are actually utilized, leaving large portions of such lands unused. This, perhaps, was not a problem in 1957, when we were only 6 million people. Today, with a population of over 30 million, it is important that we put our lands to optimal and judicious use. This is why the Urban Redevelopment Scheme is being implemented by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in partnership with the Lands Commission and the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, LUSPA, to utilize such lands in a manner that will contribute to the socio-economic development of our country. This scheme is being implemented in areas such as Kumasi Sector 18, which comprises of Ridge, Danyame, and Inshiasu residential areas, Old Tamale Airport, Ridge Sectors 1, 2, and 3 residential areas in Cape Coast, as well as the Aviation City here in Accra. The Aviation City area encompasses land adjacent Airport City and stretches from Stanbic Heights through the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, to the Ministry of Defense. Currently, the land hosts a number of installations for the Ghana Police Service, including a barracks with primary and junior high schools, mobile force quarters, rapid deployment force, national protection unit, fuel depot, and workshop. Other occupants in the area include the Band Trooping Army of the Ghana Armed Forces, the West African Examination Council, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, Ghana Airport Company Limited, and the Ghana Meteorological Agency. The Aviation City redevelopment requires that all these agencies are relocated to free up the land for redevelopment. This has led to the construction of this barracks for the Ghana Police Service through a public-private partnership to relocate the personnel of the Ghana Police Service in the Aviation City enclave to this barracks.
I must at the outset thank the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources under the leadership of its dynamic minister, Samuel A. Jinapor, Member of Parliament for Damango, and everyone involved in this project and in the Aviation City project. It is testament to government's resolve to modernizing our cities and providing decent accommodation and housing for our men and women in uniform. This facility which I'm commissioning today is the outcome of one such urban renewal program, the Aviation City Redevelopment Project at the Airport Enclave. It is to pave way for this redevelopment that these state-of-the-art facilities have been constructed through a public-private partnership with Unique Development Company for our hard-working men and women of the Ghana Police Service. The facility is made up of 514 one- and two-bedroom self-contained flats, of which 322 have been completed and ready for occupation. These units are fitted with modern facilities and will serve as comfortable homes and afford a conducive working environment for police officers and their families. In addition to the residential accommodations, this project also provides a school with modern facilities, a clinic, an AstroTurf football field, a tennis court, a standby generator, a police station, a fuel filling station, a workshop enclave, and other essential amenities. This is further testimony of our unwavering commitment to provide decent accommodation and other facilities for our security personnel. Not only will this facility improve the welfare of the police officers, it will also enhance their capacity to serve our nation even more effectively. As we commission the first phase of this project, I urge the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Lands Commission and Unique Development Company to work in earnest and complete the remaining 192 housing units and other facilities that make up the second phase of the project. I've been briefed that work is also far advanced on the construction of 15-bedroom self-contained flats for the Ghana Meteorological Agency, the Ghana Airport Company Limited, and the Greater Accra Regional Office of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA. The completion of these projects is crucial to the implementation of the Aviation City project. Once again, I want to commend all those who have worked for the success of this project. And let me mention specifically Unique Development Company Limited for partnering with government to put up these facilities for the police service and for the excellent quality of its work. This obviously is a great step towards the redevelopment of the Aviation City enclave, which will give a positive facelift to our capital city. Let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, of my full commitment to the realization of this project towards the Ghana we aspire. I'm confident that with God's guidance and your support, we will achieve our vision of a developed, progressive, and prosperous Ghana.
Now,
Obek Kanukre. Susu sang pine, be a want to be a man in quite baby.
Mommy, you first can see about Kotoso. Pepoga, send me sick from Lemonade Finance. While Brian did the shit and let me £2.
Lemonade Finance.
Say they're sending money back home from UK, Canada, and now US. I accepted a instant charges. Extinguishing in so unbeatable. We should make promo code Dr. Like £10, $10, and $10 Canadian dollars for the first transaction. What is this? Download to Lemonade Finance.
Welcome to the Ghana ICT Hub, a partnership between MTN Ghana and the Government of Ghana through the Ministry of Communications and Digitization. MTN pledged to support Ghana's digitization agenda in line with its ambition to lead the delivery of digital solutions for Africa's progress. In fulfillment of this pledge, MTN Ghana has committed $25 million toward the realization of the Ghana ICT Hub project. The objectives of the Ghana ICT Hub project is anchored on the following: to create an ICT-enabled environment for human capital and ICT skills development, to develop an ICT ecosystem through remote access delivery to facilitate job creation for national development, to provide a modern, state-of-the-art physical infrastructure to serve as a pillar for the digital Ghana agenda. The physical infrastructure, when completed, will provide 4,000 square meters of space with the following facilities: laboratories for technology training and research, innovation hub, co-working spaces for tech innovation startups, Tier 3 data center, conferencing facilities, offices and meeting rooms, commercial lettable spaces, gaming area, restaurant, ancillary facilities. The technology laboratories will be fitted with the next generation ICT equipment and applications to provide the youth of Ghana with practical training in Industry 4.0 technologies such as artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, cloud computing, 3D printing, robotics, Internet of Things, IoT, advanced manufacturing techniques, cybersecurity, genetic engineering. The project also seeks to establish a complete ecosystem at the hub through remote access delivery to facilitate job creation for national development. The ecosystem shall comprise of MDAs, technology companies, startups, incubators, research agencies, leading universities globally, foundations worldwide, to create a community. 1. The ecosystem community shall bridge the divide between academia and industry and provide solutions to challenges in the key sectors of health, agriculture, and educational sectors of the economy. 2. It shall also run an innovation program providing mentoring and networking for the youth in tech startups. 3. The ecosystem community shall establish an innovation fund to support startups, research agencies, and other entities in the ecosystem. MTN Ghana and the Ministry of Communications and Digitization are championing the Ghana digital agenda for Ghana's development. Welcome to the digital age.
The interpreter, you see, he doesn't understand the particular course we are doing. As the lecturer is saying, maybe not only him, but generally people who understand it. So how he convey the information to me was very hard for me to understand.
Disability, they say, is not inability. Lydia Abeye Akwa is a proof of this adage. As a deaf person, she has been able to graduate from the University of Mines and Technology with a Master of Business Technology Management. I am off to her residence to find out how she was able to do this amidst all the challenges. Come with me. Yes.
Breaking barriers is no small feat, and Lydia Abeye Akwa
a hearing impaired student has done just that. Lydia defied the odds and graduated with a master's degree from the University of Mines and Technology, UMAT, in Takwa, in the western region of Ghana. Her accomplishment is not only a testament to her hard work and determination, but also an inspiration to others facing similar challenges. Lydia was born hearing, but became hearing impaired after the age of 10. So, she practically knew how to speak before she lost her ability to hear. Due to this, she is able to speak properly, but she just cannot hear.
So when I became deaf, from 10 years, you see, when I go to the classroom, I'll pretend as if I can hear, but I can't hear. And my teachers, they will send me to go and buy something. I will not hear. I think I should keep the money. So I'll go and spend the money. Then I will come back to the class. Then the teacher is asking, after a long time, the teacher in the middle of the teaching was leader. Where is my granite? Then I will go out. I'll go and talk to somebody and find money and then bring it back. I will say that when I went, the granite was finished. But I left the money somewhere else for voting, so I'm bringing it back. It happened to me many times. I always made up a story. So after some time, some of the teachers began to notice, I think you have a problem with your hearing. But I passed through.
But with all the challenges that come with deafness, she never relented on pursuing her dreams in life. She worked hard and overcame every obstacle in her path from primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, and finally graduating with a cumulative weighted average of 76.80% from the Master of Business Technology Management program at the Faculty of Integrated Management Science during the just ended 14th congregation of the University of Mines and Technology in Takwa, where she focused on management information systems. According to Lydia, after becoming hearing impaired, people began stigmatizing her in her community, and she could no longer serve for her mother as she used to do. And even as a church singer, she could no longer sing.
As a singer, I had a nice voice. But when I became deaf, my voice turned into different sounds, so I stopped singing. It was like a shame to me, around 10 years and up. So people look down on you. People they don't welcome you as if you have done something bad by becoming deaf. That is feeling you get around people. You don't feel welcome because you see some general something around people. I cannot explain, but everywhere you go, you see that thing around them. They don't welcome you. So you begin to pull away from people. Then the friends you had, children friends, you lost them. Because they think when they talk, you don't understand them. So they don't waste time on you.
But the stigma did not deter her from continuing with her education. She says, irrespective of her deafness, she was one of the best students at the JHS level because she was a very brilliant student in class.
Thankfully, God gave me a good brain. So I could learn and pass my exams from the primary school to the junior high. I tried. I think I was one of the best students in my school in those days.
Gaining admission to the Takwa Senior High School to pursue business was another hurdle for Lydia as she learned on her own. One of her challenges was taking down notes anytime the teachers decided to dictate. Since she couldn't hear anything, she had to resort to lip reading to get an idea of what the teachers were saying, but that wasn't much help either. A classmate by name Patient Sako came to her aid by deciding to write the notes for her anytime teachers decided to dictate.
When I went to SS, I wanted to study science. But when you go there, you have to write exams, depending on the subject that you pass, before they will tell you whether you do science or. And I did well in English. The maths, I didn't do well in the science. So one of the teachers said, because I'm deaf, I should go and do business. Because business, accounting and all that, you would just be sitting on the computer and then not much interaction with people. So I was learning on my own. And there was one mate, she's called Patience Savon. She was a sweet, good person. I think God just put him there for me. And then when we go to the classroom and the teacher is dictating the notes, she will be writing her own notes. At the same time, she will be writing my own. That is how I did it to the very end. And I will be sitting in front every time to read the teacher's lips. If the teacher turns, then I'm lost. But I did well by reading on my own. And many of my students were very proud of me at SS level. I was learning with a high intelligent people. When we finished SS, I was among the best at that time.
After completing Takwa Senior High School, she enrolled at the Ekuapem Mampong Secondary Technical School for the Deaf, where she learned the sign language before entering the University of Ghana to study business administration, human resource option. As the only hearing impaired student in the lecture hall with an interpreter in front of the whole class, she felt uncomfortable because all eyes were on her. Due to this, she stopped going for lectures altogether, and her interpreter also decided to stop. This, she said, affected her performance badly as she began to fail.
Personally, I was having a feeling of like being an old deaf in the whole lecture place. I was about to beg up, and then you sit in front with a sign language interpreter. I was feeling uncomfortable at all. Everybody watching me. But that was an immature feeling. I was not very knowledgeable around that time. What I would say to other deaf people, if they experience the same thing, they should never feel shy. Because for me, it's a glorious thing not to hear among so many people the experience within. Only you know what is inside. You see it. And to be able to understand letters with a sign language interpreting is a marvelous thing. Any deaf should feel proud of. So, with this challenge for me, I was not going to the lecture because I didn't want people looking at me, and that was also not encouraging for my interpreters. So they stopped coming to help me.
At a point in time, the university almost revoked her admission, but thanks to the intervention of one lecturer, Dr. Kwabna Edupoku, Lydia was able to continue with her education.
Later, I had to meet our school. One of the lecturers, he had experience with deaf people, so I went to meet him. And then I told him my challenges. He encouraged me, and then he met the university authorities. So they decided to allow me to continue. You see it. But because of me, they made that man the disability coordinator of the university. I think for the first time, the university had a disability coordinator through that man, Dr. Kwabena Edupoku. And then after from that time on, I began to do well. Actually, I was fired. Something wonderful happened to me. My performance improved. So I managed to graduate successfully.
13 years after completing her first degree, Lydia decided to enroll for a master's degree at the University of Mines and Technology. Because of initial challenges she went through due to her form of disability, Lydia worked closely with the university management, some lecturers and course mates to be able to appreciate some complex course concepts, and because of that, she was able to persevere. The university ensured also that she had the necessary assistance, such as sign language interpreters, to enable her fully participate in lectures and other academic activities. Finally, the day of graduation arrived, and Lydia walked across the stage to receive her master's degree, and she felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that she had never before felt. She looked out into the crowd and saw her family and friends cheering her on, and she knew in that moment that all of her hard work had been worth it. She describes UMAT as an exceptional institution that fosters practical learning and says that its faculty, staff, and students are very supportive.
Initially, the university was not having the resources, so they wouldn't provide me fast. It almost affected my admission. But I had to help them to know that I can do it, whether they give me interpreting service or not. So they were very happy by that. So they decided to welcome me to continue my goal. And so we started. So along the line, the university came in to support, because they will see that it was very important. I had a lot of challenges in the masters. And sometimes the interpreter, you see, he doesn't understand the particular course we are doing. As the lecturer is saying, maybe not only him, but generally people who understand it. So how he conveyed the information to me was very hard for me to understand. But some to interpreting. But when I don't understand, my mates, course mates, they spend time with me to explain it, so that I was able to follow. And then my thesis, the same thing.
The head of Department for Management Studies at UMAT, Dr. Kofi Kamasa, tells our reporter that the school admitted Lydia without knowing she was hearing impaired.
When we received her admission documents, I think that we didn't know that she was deaf. Okay, yeah. So we gave the admission, and after the admission was given, she reported. That is why we got to know that she was a special student. And so engagement with the Dean of Postgraduate School at the time, and then some members of the university, I mean, we realized that no, we cannot withdraw the admission.
Upon finding out about her condition after her admission, the necessary assistance was provided for Lydia to go through the program successfully.
If you are hearing impaired and you are taking certain courses which are quantitative in nature, even though you may have an interpreter to be interpreting the things to you, when we are talking of formulas here and quantitative issues, there are little bit challenge that comes there, because it's difficult to interpret like quadratic equation for you to, you get the point. Yeah, so I think that those were some of the challenges that she was facing initially, but with time, I think she became comfortable and she was able to actually pursue through. And then also knowing that that was what was facing her, I think the lecturers were also made aware, and so their mode of teaching was also a bit flexible, so that it also cater for her as well. That's how we want to do. so that she managed to do the course just as the other friends who were here. Yes.
According to Dr. Kofi Kamasa, the university is always prepared to help persons living with disability anytime they gain admission. He said everyone has the right to education, adding that Lydia defied all the odds and went on to pursue her dream irrespective of her disability. He urged PWDs not to allow their disability hinder them from climbing the academic ladder.
When it comes to education, we know that in Ghana we have inclusive education. Nobody should be left out. And like we said, if someone is impaired, it doesn't mean that the person is incapable of doing anything. There are a lot of examples where people with disability have risen to the very, very top as far as the academic ladder is concerned. So as a university where we embrace these things, if where we are also disability friendly, if we get situations like that, we are always prepared to help and make sure that nobody loses their right and dream to education because of their inability or their disability status. So we are fully prepared. We are fully prepared to embrace those things. Of course, Lydia's case has given us more eye-opening situations where it has even made the university more friendly as far as these special students are concerned.
Lydia's sign language interpreter, Richmond Bedu, tells me why he accepted to be her interpreter.
When I had a call from Lydia that she wanted me to be her personal interpreter, I really wanted to accept such a challenge. Because to be frank with you, that was the first time of venturing into I was finding myself in such a situation. I have not actually been at the tertiary level to interpret. So I actually accepted the mantle, one, because of the passion I have for the deaf people. I'm someone who always advocates concerning issues of deafness, because I really want to see them always at the top, to see them achieving or aspiring for greater heights. So I went in just to make sure that her vision of acquiring something better in terms of her career has been achieved.
According to him, the challenge taught him a lot of things. He said he made a lot of sacrifices just to make sure that Lydia graduated successfully. He mentioned some of the challenges he faced along the line.
At the start, when we began, I was at the same time a student at the University of Mines and Technology, the same school that Lydia attended. I was, I think, level 200 during that period. But I just considered the fact that she was going to have it at the weekends, that is Saturdays and Sundays. So though sometimes we had group meetings and some other meetings on weekends, but I decided to sacrifice in that regard to make sure that she's able to have the best of it. And another thing also that I encountered whilst I was with Lydia was that, it's a higher level of education. And then there are certain terminologies or certain things that are being taught I have no knowledge or idea about. So what happened was that I was mostly dependent on the lecturer. Whatever that the lecturer says, that is what I deliver. But the pace at which the lecturer will go with the hearing students, I have to really grasp the concepts. So I even have to pause the lecture at a point in time to explain it further for me to get a clearer picture of it before I'll be able to convey the meaning to Lydia.
While commending UMAT for accepting Lydia, Mr. Bedu called on the Ministry of Education and other educational institutions to incorporate sign language into their curriculum and also make sign language interpretation available to make it easy for the hearing impaired to access education.
I would like to commend the University of Mines and Technology for such an amazing opportunity given to Lydia to explore. Actually, though Lydia has been able to pursue her career, it has also helped me as a sign language interpreter to better my profession. We are pleading with all institutions to actually incorporate the learning of sign language as well as even having interpreters available to be of help whenever such a dev wants to visit their outfit. I think this is going to create a bigger platform for the deaf people to reach higher heights. And then again, my final proposal is to the government that I think, and in my candid opinion, I think once we start the learning of sign language right from the basic schools, it's really going to be of help in the sense that the children are going to grow with it. And once they grow with it, already we've created an inclusive education. And that is going to make things simpler for the deaf people. And we are going to produce more sign language interpreters for Ghana.
Lydia expressed her appreciation to Richmond Bedu for availing himself to be her interpreter.
So this interpreter, he fights for me as well. He's advocating, making sure that I advance. If many interpreters have that attitude of fighting for deaf, helping create awareness of deaf issues, I think a lot of deaf people will have big opportunities. Now, I appreciate the attitude of Mr. Richmond, advocacy with power.
Love found Lydia while she was at the University of Ghana. Her husband, Samuel Asamoah, recalls how he met and got attracted to her.
So I met her at the University of Ghana. I think we were in Princeton, but I met her just once. And when I met her, I just saw something strange and attractive. And then later I got to go closer and I got to realize that this is a lady I would like to marry. She's a very bold person, and that really attracted me to her. So I would say love blinds. Okay, yeah, because of the love, I didn't really see that she has a problem. Yeah, so that is how I live with her. I live with her with that mindset. So we live together peacefully.
Mr. Asamoah has learned sign language through Lydia, and that is the means through which they communicate. And he is always ready to support his wife in diverse ways, even up to the point of her achieving her PhD.
I would like to see her going as far as PhD, yeah, because she has a very sharp memory, and she's able to memorize a lot of things more than I do. So I encourage her to go higher in the academic ladder.
Ever wondered how Lydia, as a mother, would know when her child is crying when she's not close by to see the baby's gestures? Well, thanks to her husband, she doesn't have to worry anymore about that.
As a deaf wife, she wouldn't be able to hear a baby is crying, but I play that role. So when the baby cries, I would prompt her that baby is crying, and then she can do the breastfeeding. As a father in a home, I also hear for her. Actually, I'm her hearing. Okay, I'm the one who feels that lack. I hear for her. Whenever she needs to hear around her, I make her to hear, so that she won't feel that even she has any disability.
According to Mr. Asamoah, because of how the society sees the hearing impaired, they do not have a lot of information, and this has become a hindrance to their development. He is of the view that government should put in measures to make the hearing impaired have access to information.
Education can be defined as a change of behavior due to learning something. Okay, but generally speaking, deaf people do not have access to a lot of information because of how our society view them or treat them. But when you visit our banks, we only have sign language interpreters. When you visit our schools, there are no sign language interpreters to help the deaf children in most of the schools. So in this regard, they won't get enough information to even have a change of behavior, as is the goal of proper education. So because of that, in some aspects of life, okay, the deaf may not respond appropriately, but that does not mean that they are not behaving well. But because the society have not structured things in a proper way that will help them to have a change of behavior through education from the society.
Lydia Abeye Akwa wants the government to make sign language a general subject for all school-going children, as she believes it will help everyone to know sign languages.
What I want to say is we should make sign language a general subject for all children in Ghana, because sign language is the way deaf people learn. That is their language. Sign language is like any other language, and how sign language convey information for us deaf people is more powerful than hearing. So if GS, the government makes sign language compulsory for all children in Ghana, everybody will be fine. Everybody will be fine, because at a point, even old people, they will become deaf. So by the time we arrive at being deaf, we are not praying for people to becoming deaf, but that is a possibility. So if you become deaf and you know sign language, your family people know sign language, you are okay.
With the aim of becoming a linguist, Lydia has gained admission to the Gallaudet University, a private federally chartered research university in Washington, D.C., for the education of the hearing impaired, and is pursuing a Master in Linguistics course that she hopes would help her to return to support language development of the hearing impaired in Ghana. She is therefore soliciting for the support of organizations and individuals to help her pursue that dream.
You see, even the whole world, we have very few deaf people who are linguists. Even women, deaf women who are deaf linguists. We don't have enough deaf linguists. So I see this for me to stand. I mean, get more education to learn about linguistics, so that I can use this to come to Ghana here to support all deaf people, and also to stand as women with disability who aspires for higher education and are achieving innovative things in the society. And so I've applied to the Gallaudet University and I got admission already to go. But I need support scholarship. I apply for the fall 2023. So I need the scholarship to help me to go and study. The university currently do not have support for international people.
Lydia's success is a reminder of the importance of inclusivity in education. It is essential to create an environment where all students, regardless of their disabilities, feel supported and empowered to succeed. By breaking barriers and achieving her goals, Lydia has opened doors for other hearing impaired students and shown that anything is possible with hard work and determination.
Lydia's success has brought light into the lives of persons living with disability. No matter where you are, you can also climb to the top of the academic ladder, irrespective of your disability. From Takwa in the Western region, Thomas Tete reporting for GhanaWeb.
In 2019 across Spain, and it was an eye-opening experience for us having to play music, and man, people in Europe love Ghanaian music.
The African continent is blessed with some of the greatest music bands, and Ghana can boast of the band FRA. Young, talented instrumentalists and singers making waves with their sound. It's a 360 conversation here on Talkatainment. I am Paula Amabruni. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. You're still watching Talkatainment on GhanaWeb TV. Now, I have here seated on my couch 2 members of Ghanaian band FRA. George and Salom. Salom is the guitar player and George is the band leader and bass player. Yeah. Welcome, guys.
Thank you very much.
Great. It's good to have you. I've been following your progress and I love your music. You guys are doing amazing. And if you haven't checked them out, it's like, you are missing out because they do real authentic African music. But let me find out from you. What do you do? Will you say it's Afro-funk, high life? How would you describe your music?
It's Afrofusion.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's dominated strongly by high life. High life is like the bedrock, and we fuse it with various genres: jazz, pop, funk, Afrobeat, you name it.
Okay, so just as your name say, I feel that energy. Great. So the band, just tell us the genesis. How did FRA come to be, and then the members? Let me start. How many are you in the band?
So the core members of the band are 6. But we have a 7th member who's like an ad hoc member. We started out in 2015, but prior to that we had been playing together as friends. We were actually in the same church together, and George and the drummer had been friends since high school, and they met the keyboard player along the line. And I think one day they came to Koforidua, where I lived, for a workshop, and they met me over there and we became friends. So around that time I was in Legon, and we linked up, exchanged contacts, and when I came back to school, I was on vacation, when I came back to school, I met up with them and I started playing with them. So in 2015, we just came up with the idea of, coming together to form a band and doing our own music, even though we're like playing at pubs and bars by then and doing cover stuff for other artists. So later, the following year in 2016, we decided to brand ourselves properly, and the name we came up was FRA.
FRA.
Yeah, you came up with it. Yeah.
So what is the real meaning? I know like FRA in Chi, you say it's a mixture.
It means mix.
Mix.
Yes.
Great. You make mention that you started from the church. Yeah, some musicians say, oh, once I was born in my mother's womb, I just knew how to sing. I started singing and all that. But with the church, we have some instrumentalists who say, okay, maybe when you play for the church, you feel like, oh, it's free and all that and all that. What would you say about that, the church where you came from? In churches where maybe they feel like, okay, the instrumentalists, they are part of us, so, no money and all that, they are just playing for the God and all that. How do you balance that? Because I've had a lot of people say, it's just free like that, all of that.
Well, I think it depends on your personal arrangements or agreements with the church. Some people play for free, and some people play to be paid. So, yeah, I think it's a personal decision.
Okay.
Yeah, some people decide just to play to help the church or, for God. Exactly. And others also see it as a business. But, for us, we play in church just to support the church because we are already okay with the band.
I see.
You understand?
I see.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I observe is that with bands, it looks like it starts with a 4-member. So if somebody that you want to start up a band, what are the core instrumentalists or what do you need on board or in your team to make up a solid band?
I think every band is made up primarily of a drummer, a bass player, and a keyboardist. And usually there's a singer. So at least 4, although I've seen a lot of bands with less members, like 3. It's very common in America and Europe to meet what we call a jazz trio or even a normal trio, where we have just like a drummer, a bass player, and either a keyboardist or a guitar player. There's several examples like that. The most popular one I can think of right now is John Mayer, who has his own trio. He plays the guitar and sings at the same time.
Okay.
He's being backed by a drummer and a bass player. So if one of the members is going to double as a singer, then 3 can do it. But 4, 5, 6, 7, I mean, you can go above that. I remember this man, Fela Kuti, had a team of running into like 40 plus.
Oh.
Yeah, when he traveled with a very large team. But to answer your question, there's usually a core in the band, which starts out, in our case, we were 4. And when the band becomes bigger, when you guys gain some traction for yourself, you can definitely build up on that and bring other people on board to beef up the sound.
Okay. Okay, great. So you coming together, what has been your greatest inspiration? What is the goal? What is the plan?
So for us now, I mentioned earlier on that we started out as a cover band. Then it got to a point where we were like, nah, we need to put ourselves out there, come up on stage front and center, and brand ourselves as an artist. Why did we go in this direction? We look back at Ghana's history and we realized that most of Ghana's music from the 80s, 70s, and 60s had been born in band culture. We've had a lot of bands coming up from Ghana and making a big name for themselves out there in the West. The most prominent example being Osibisa.
Yeah.
Ramblers, E.T. Mensah, the African Brothers Band, like so many of them. If your father or mother, if your parents or grandparents had any vinyl records, you would see most of these bands I'm talking about out there. And I think as at now, not many of them are active. I can only think of Pa Thomas and the Kwashibu area band, Ebo Taylor, and a few others. Yeah, but we don't have any current crop of like contemporary bands doing the same thing that they were doing back then, making the same impact that they were making back then. So we decided to take it upon ourselves to be the guinea pigs in this case, and our little experiment has blown up, and you're looking at it right now as FRA. So
proud, because if you're Ghanaian and you experience the quality, the kind of music that you do, the energy, everything, it's crazy. Yeah, George, so what do you think has contributed to Ghana not having like a lot of vibrant bands and all that? What has been the challenge?
I think Selom stated earlier that back in the day, in the 60s and the 70s, when you are asked to mention your favorite artist, you definitely mention the name of a band. But we learned that around the 80s, there was a little bit of political unrest with the coups and the military regimes and all that. And, some of the band's music were political. And, there were curfews and all that, so the bands couldn't perform. So most of the active bands then left Ghana for Nigeria and other African countries and Europe. So that sort of killed the band culture around that time. And fast forward, electronic music started, the beats and all of that. So that has really played a major role in the band culture going extinct at a certain point of time until recently, where the Ebo Taylors and the Pa Thomases, Jedoublé and Boulé picked it up again.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you will encourage more young people to, form bands and all. Later we'll talk about the challenges. But I want to find out, who are your greatest top 3 music bands? Everybody got an inspiration though.
I think we have to answer this question individually.
Okay, George, how are your case?
Top 3 general?
Yeah.
In general.
In general, wow. Man, definitely Osibisa. Definitely Osibisa. And then Ebo Taylor and the Salt Pond City Band. The last band.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you. Salam, give me your favorite.
Yeah, so Osibisa is also a favorite with me, not just because of their sound, but even because of their style. I actually love their album covers because they have this very psychedelic feel to them. Looking at the album cover and listening to music totally transports you somewhere else. So Osibisa definitely my top 3. Actually, in the band, most of us love Osibisa. And I can also talk about a band which I got into recently from Nigeria called The Cavemen, who are also doing very well in Nigeria. I think they're one of the new bands on the scene who have really shaken things up and gathered a following in a very short time.
Okay.
Yes, and I actually love vintage stuff. So I'll also talk about Earth, Wind and Fire, which is a band from the US. I don't know if you've listened to any of their songs. After the Love Is Gone, September, and a few other very hits of theirs. Yeah, they're very popular with older people. But I like to revisit stuff like that because sometimes they lend you ideas when you're crafting up with new things, and that is actually something that we also like to do.
Yeah. Inspiration is really key. Now let's talk about music. I've got a lot of your favorite, but then 30 Billion is one of the things I like. Tell us the story. How did it come about? What is the thing behind it?
Okay, so I really wish Virgin, our drummer and composer, was here to give more light on this because he usually comes up with the song ideas.
Okay.
But he came up with the idea for that song. He was like, he wanted us to try something which was more hip, had this Afro beats and poppy vibe, which a lot of youthful people will resonate, would kind of vibe along to. And somehow that phrase 30 billion came into our minds because the video has a song along those lines. Yes. And it's not like we took the phrase from him. We looked at the elements of the song. People who play songs like this like to go out to party, like to rave. So it's usually money, flashy lights, strobe lights, and all that. So we thought of these things and we injected them into the lyrics. That's how come you have a 30 billion over there. So it's a song about money, but money makes the world go round. It's a song about partying.
All right.
As well.
So if you haven't checked out 30 Billion by FRA, it's a good tune. You should check it out. Then I'm Gone. I love it when musicians take issues that are in society and, hammer, call for change and all that. So your music should have something inside where, and then in I'm Gone, you talk about domestic violence and all that. I've seen musicians here, not just band, talk about issues, even in government, when things are not going to do so, they go talk about that. But then the moment a musician is bold enough to address issues of the society and maybe go after the government, you tag that's partisan. Why is it so? Even though we all have political parties we belong to, but then the moment you want to voice out, you talk about domestic violence, but someone want to talk about politics and the hardship, and then they want to go after you and say you're partisan. How do you feel in that space as a musician, drumming something home, or you just don't want to play the politics part?
Political. I think there are enough artists addressing political.
So you leave it to them.
Oh no. Okay, we can address it. We actually have a song called Doom. So although we didn't explicitly make it like a political song, it's kind of like a satire because we compared the erratic power supply during those days to the affection you receive from a lover who is inconsistent. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so the same way today you have power, tomorrow you don't. We just liken it to you having a partner being a man or a woman, and it's today they are mind day, tomorrow they are mind all day. They kind of playing this she loves me, she loves you not ping pong thing with you, and we made that into a song. So although it's not explicitly political, we used the situation in Ghana at that time. So you could read some political meaning into that, but we didn't want to go all out for a very good reason. And people hate it when you talk about the truth. People hated Jesus Christ for it. They hated Fela Kuti. He was actually banned from coming to Ghana because he performed, I think, at the Black Star Square, a song called Zombie, and which described the way and manner in which soldiers were being used by the government to bully people, to bully political opponents. They don't have a mind of their own. They're like zombies being given orders. And this instigated unrest among people who were at the concert. And I think there was a riot after that. People went from the concert to Osu area to go and riot, something like that. And the government was not so happy about it. So it was banned from coming to Ghana. Thankfully, Ghana's political climate is much calmer.
Even though sometimes they come after them,
but
of course.
People are still, you know, partisan, very partisan in this side of our world.
So later we'll talk about that, because some musicians, they'll campaign when things go bad.
Yeah.
And a whole lot, they say they always go after Sako, they don't go after Samini. But then we've all got choices, you know. Yeah, so I'm still seated with the band FRA, Ghanaian band instrumentalists. I'm here with Salom and George. We're talking music and everything 360 about their band. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we delve more into their music. Welcome back. You're still watching Talkatainment on GhanaWeb TV. I'm here with the band FRA. Would you say that Ghana, the country where you are, they've given you your flowers in terms of the good music that you do, the traction, everything, appreciating on all levels? Would you feel like the flowers have been given?
Well, I think they have, because anytime you come to a FRA concert, the place is always packed, and that wouldn't have been the case if people were not supportive of what we do as a band. But you know, there's always more room for improvement. Like, we would like the media to, you know, throw more light on what's going on in the band side of music. It's like all attention is towards the artists, the people who do solo projects and all of that. But a lot of attention has not yet been given to the band side of things, but there's wonderful things going on at that side of music too. So I think the media should try to also look towards our direction. We have good musicians there, and if you were at our concert, our last concert, which was just 2 weeks ago, you would have been so impressed. We had some of the finest bands in the country perform on that night, and they may not be known down here, but trust me, everyone gave the performance of their lives. That's what we do at our concerts. It's always a jam, involve the audience in everything that we do. So they always go home with a lot of great memories.
All right.
Yeah.
So Ghana, Shatawale got the Esther movement, and then Stonebwoy being native. So if you're a fan of FRA, how you call yourself?
You're part of the family.
Family. So family with FRA.
Hey, just said fraternity, family. Oh, okay. Okay. I love that. But then, currently, is there any artist or band that you wish to partner with, like collaboration and stuff like that?
Well, I think
I know you have a new project coming out.
Yes, we do. I think we have already collaborated with a couple of bands and artists, but definitely there are more bands we would like to collaborate with. We already have a song with Checheku. He is a Ghanaian musician based in France, and he has a band. He actually introduced us to all these touring circuits and all of that, so he helped us, you know, get our first tour to some extent. So we have a song with him. We also have a song with Senku Live. I don't know if you know of the Senku Live band. They're also an awesome group that plays in Ghana. We have a song with them, but I would definitely like to do something with Wiala.
Oh, Wiala.
Definitely Sound Trophy, probably Jeduble and
Do you have something with Aduma?
Aduma was the first artist.
Because I love her vibe, and I'm like, you know, when you mention, I'm like,
yeah.
Great.
We do. We have two records with Aduma.
Great.
One on our first album. It's called Ima. Yeah, it's a guy's anthem. They really love it.
You should check out Ima.
Yes, and the second one is Hanimaya, which also features Queen Ayoko. So it features Aduma and Queen Ayoko. That's on our second album.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. So music-wise, you guys are doing great music and all that. But Salom, what would you say has been some of the challenges working together as a band and, you know, selling your music, your sounds to everyone, you know, to the rest of the world?
So the very first one has been the acceptance. You have friends and family, people very close to you, questioning what you are doing. And you know how it feels like when people are around you are questioning what you're doing. It feels like what you're doing, it's not really going to work out. So that constant negativity tends to get into the way. You need to be very mentally strong to look past it and remain focused on what you are doing. So I can reasonably say most of the band members, like the band has been very, very strong in that regard, with that resolve. We've stood our ground and we've been able to overcome that very first block, that is acceptance, people around you questioning what you're doing, whether it's actually going to work out, whether is this marketable, is this going to bring money. Your parents will always ask you, why have you gone to university and dropped your degree and playing in bars and pubs? It doesn't make sense to them. So that was the first hurdle. The second part had to do with finances. So let me start with sponsorship.
Right.
So when you're going out to look for sponsorship as a band, the same way it's difficult for individuals to view you, the group, as an artist, corporate institutions also have that difficulty because they're used to seeing rappers and solo singers show up on their doorsteps with some kind of like proposition for a partnership and all that. But when we do it, and also coupled with the fact that they think you're not so big, they tend to shy away. And we've had it's quite tough in that department. So far, we've had to be organizing most of our projects with a combination of band contributions, like individual contributions, and also the coffers that the band has, money we've made from doing gigs. Yes, in our when we are not doing our own music, we do cover events for weddings. Yes, weddings and all that. Also for other artists, we've actually worked with quite a number of artists, both gospel and secular. I can mention so many. And we save up that money and put it down and try to organize our own stuff because we don't have any investor or any company stepping in and saying, okay, I'm going to take care of this for you. Nah, it's not really been there. God being so good, I think with our last event, we had Ravens Consultant stepping in, coming on board with us, and I think that they are our very first investor, so to speak. So the finances have been very, very tricky. Very, very, very tricky. But
can imagine.
I think we are at that point where we are, at the peak of the mountain, about to slide down.
It will happen, but it takes someone who really appreciates music to, appreciate sound. So when someone like, oh, they are not, I'm like, you don't know music. You don't appreciate quality sound. You're used to the, less party thing. But if you really feel music, understand, you'll fall in love with FRA. So if we don't have to attend your concert, do you play at sport? How do you play? Or you have to wait for FRA, their concert, before we see you live in action? You mentioned that you do like weddings and corporate events and stuff.
Yeah, but most of those events are private events. So we can't put it on our pages and all of that. You understand?
Yeah,
someone's
I
party,
that.
wedding, they are private events. I think besides the main fraternity, we always try to hold another concert, something little, be it in the form of an album launch or something. This year we're actually trying to do another fraternity out of Accra. You understand? Because we've been doing the past editions within Accra. We feel it's time for us to take fraternity out of Accra to another city. So we are still, in discussions with people out there. We don't live there, so we need to partner with people who are actually there.
I think Takoradi will do, because they have like I've been to Takoradi a couple of times, and they also appreciate the sounds and all the things. So FRA, have you toured the world? What are some of the events that you've been to? And of course, you're saying that this year there are plans for it, but then let's talk about tours, selling your music, what you do, the quality to the rest of the people, maybe on the African continent or part of the world.
Okay, so our very first trip together as a band. Prior to that, I think some of the band members had traveled individually, but together as a unit, going out there to go and do our own music was in 2019. We auditioned on a project called Bisabi by an organization called Casa Africa, and this was based on the recommendation of our friend Checheku, who is very conversant with the touring landscape. So he advised us to get ourselves out there and that people in Europe would love our music. So we applied, we were picked, and we were asked to come and audition out of like 12 bands. Chechiku himself was there, so his band and FRA, we were chosen to go on a tour for 6 weeks in Spain. So that was, I think, our first major breakthrough. We did 9 shows in 9 different locations.
Which year was that? 2019?
In 2019 across Spain, and it was an eye-opening experience for us, having to play music, and man, people in Europe love Ghanaian music. I'm saying this because anytime we went on stage, every single venue we played at, the place was full right before we came on stage. And from the first song to the last song, even though they don't understand the language, the way they relate, the way they look at you, they try to repeat the words. It's funny when you hear Europeans trying to speak to you.
Can you imagine?
And all, they try to repeat the words, they try to get themselves involved in the music, and it's very encouraging because we saw songs we wrote in our bedrooms, we sat down to piece together being repeated, choruses being sung by our audiences in Europe, and it didn't end there. We came back and we did a showcase in Morocco, in Rabat. That was later that year, called Vista for Music, and the feedback from that one too was very phenomenal, and we had a number of bookings from that particular show for the next year, 2020, in summer. That's
okay.
So I think in 2020 we went to Zanzibar. There's a show called, there's a festival called Southeast Abuzara, which is one of the biggest in East Africa. We also performed there, and that show, I just want to go back to Zanzibar just because of that show.
It's written all over your face. Okay.
Yeah, when we came back from Zanzibar, and I think that's when COVID struck. Yeah,
okay.
So we couldn't make it for any of our bookings. Later that year, 2020, we were just indoors.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
2020.
Charlie, it was difficult for all sides.
Yeah, there were no venues doing live music, so we were just indoors.
What we were having was like the virtual thing where people play, then you could go on YouTube and go and watch.
Go and watch. So that's what we did for 2020, and subsequently 2021, we did that again, but.
With a few people in attendance.
Yeah, with a few people in attendance. Yeah, we did that again.
Okay.
Later that year in 2021 was, I said like that year, it's just last year. In 2021, we had the chance to do a festival called Nyege Nyege.
Okay. And that was 2022.
2022, right?
Yeah, that was last
year. That was last year.
That was last year. I
Yeah.
thought 2021 was last year.
I'm
so living in the time capsule. So, last year, yes, we did Nyege Nyege in Uganda, and we went there with Adoma.
Yep.
So we did a set with her, and also we did a set as FRA as well. It was somewhere in Itanda Falls on the Nile River.
Yeah, that experience was you had to sleep in tents and all of that.
As earlier we had the conversation, usually people love the band, you have to go outskirts, just somewhere.
There's no network even.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, there's no network.
I see.
We're just off grid.
You had to bath in the river.
Yeah.
Wow. But in Africa, one of my favorite bands, Southeast, so would there ever be something with them? Because they are cool too.
Yeah, definitely. Never say never. We just need to, build a connection, and it will happen.
All right. But then in Ghana, when we talk about music, a lot of artists say that, okay, sometimes they do amazing, but when it comes to our awards, they are sidelined. But a band, would you say the Ghana Music Awards, the Ghana music industry, you have like a safe spot for you, a safe category that you know that, okay, this is it. At the end of the day, we are appreciating bands, we are hammering, and then letting people get the attention that, okay, bands do, not just about the musician. So when you talk about Ghana Music Awards, how would you say?
I don't think so. They usually nominate us under Group of the Year, which I think is too broad.
It's an umbrella term.
Yeah, for the type of music we do, because you are in that same group with groups like Keche.
I know.
It's like, those people are mainstream, so you definitely wouldn't win the award. So I think moving on, award organizers or event organizers should probably do a band category.
Yeah.
Probably band of the year or something. That makes more sense, because when you put us under one umbrella, Group of the Year, it's too broad.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. But then before we wrap up, what are the plans for the year 2023?
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I was going to mention that we did a showcase in Portugal last year in October, which is called the World Music Expo. WMEX is the biggest meeting of music professionals in the world. They bring people from all over the world. I think about how many people are usually in attendance? Around 3,000 music professionals. So you get to connect with these people. You get to expose yourself to them and sell your brand and your band or your music to them. And a lot of things can come out of that: record deals, bookings for tours, marketing opportunities for your music, having the ability to get you out there on Spotify and Apple Music playlists. So we did WMEX, and the response once again was very good. And out of that, we have some bookings for this year, 2023. So we'll be going back on the road. God willing, in June.
And then maybe later in the year we could have another fraternity.
In another region, as I said.
In our region, great.
Since you missed the last one, you have to travel.
I was working, for me though, but it was great talking to you. Then what for the fans? Where can they find you, your music, and also on social media? Where can we connect?
So you can find us on all social media as the band FRA.
The band FRA.
Yeah, and it's same on all online music stores. Just search FRA. I think it's FRA there with the exclamation mark. Don't leave it out.
Okay.
FRA with the exclamation mark. You find our music everywhere on YouTube. Yeah, we're everywhere.
Great. So thank you very much, George and Salom, for today's conversation. And I must say, you guys are doing amazing. The first time I heard your sound, I was blown away. I was like, this is good. I love good music too. So I was like, yeah, this is it. So for those of you who are yet to discover FRA, you know you've missed a lot, but you can join the family. Yeah, great. So thank you very much for doing this with us. We really appreciate you. We're going to support, as you say, the media. So whatever you're going to do, we're going to get on board, because good music, we love to also see that, okay, Ghana is winning on the international platform, whatever. And then when we talk of bands, they're going to chip in FRA, not just like your CBSA, the Ramblers and all that. The new school too are on board. Thank you very much. And to you who did the watching, I must say thank you very much for watching this episode of Talkatainment. I am Paula Amabroni. We'll be back with something bigger. Thanks for watching.
CocoBoard is doing a lot of things.
Yes.
Are you a rich company?
CocoBoard has its own challenges we are dealing with. Unfortunately, despite all the interventions, the support CocoBoard is rendering to farmers and to our society, we don't unfortunately get the praises, but we get a flag. Why is CocoBoard not doing this? Why is CocoBoard not doing that? But indeed, CocoBoard is doing a lot.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to the part 2 of our interview with the regulator of the cocoa industry, CocoBoard. I'm having an interview with the head of the Public Affairs Unit, Fifi Boafo. We started talking about smuggling in the cocoa sector, as well as climate change and the effect of galamsey on Ghana's cocoa production. In our next part, we try and touch on some, if you like, interesting bits about CocoBoard and some of the interventions that they give to the ordinary citizen of this country. The CocoBoard scholarship is one of the things that a lot of people have benefited from, and it's one of the items my colleague said I should ask about when I was preparing for this interview. Fifi, thank you very much for sitting with us once again. CocoBoard is doing a lot of interventions, doing roads, giving scholarship to people. Is the Cocoa Board scholarship still ongoing?
Well, the Cocoa Board scholarship has been taken over, for want of better expression, by the free SHS policy.
Right.
Yeah, the Cocoa Board scholarship was primarily for secondary education. So was for wards of cocoa farmers in senior high schools. As we speak, the free SHS policy is taking care of secondary education. So that will be duplication of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now that has changed. However, the board has taken a decision to use the funds for a different purpose.
Okay.
And the different purpose is to provide basic model schools for cocoa communities.
Right.
Because we realize that yes, there's free SHS, but and every child is supposed to benefit. But a child has to get to the level of secondary school before the child can benefit from the free SHS policy. So in a situation where you have a child from these communities who is not doing well, who is not interested to go to school, will not even get to the stage where he has to enjoy free SHS. So there's the need for us to get these kids in school, educated, and build them up for secondary school education. So yes, that's what we are doing now. For the fight against child labor, for example, you realize that there are kids who are not in school, not because they do not want to go to school, but the distance they commute, because they stay on the farmstead, the distance they commute from the farmstead to the nearby school is quite a journey.
Yeah.
So the energy to do that is there, so the child is left in the home.
Yeah.
So this time around, we are trying to have schools closer to them. My understanding